And here we are. I hope everybody's 4th of July weekend is going just as you planned. Here tonight, I got Nikki B back with me in the studio. What's up, Nick?
What's happening, bro? What's happening?
Oh, man, just doing my thing, dude. Tonight, guys, we're going to bring you basically an open forum on aliens. We're going to kind of break down certain dates and certain things. Everyone that knows anything about aliens, there's nothing I could tell you new going on right now. So we're going to kind of just revisit some of the special dates and events here in the United States on this great Independence weekend. So Nikki, man, how was your week, brother? Anything interesting happen?
Oh, always good stuff, man. Always. I'm moving this week, so packing and moving, and you
Mm,
know, being
still
dad.
packing.
All the use. Oh yeah, dude. Tomorrow's like day one moving. So yeah, it's going good. It's going great.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for you to get moved in, settled, and we get this thing rocking and rolling again like we were. Um, man, I'm having blast this weekend, dude. I'm loving the 4th of July. You know, why I love 4th of July so much is, man, I don't know why, but I don't know if it's because of the movie Independence Day, but they just run so many different alien shows, man. Alien versus Predator, Alien 1, 2, 3, and 5,000, or however many aliens
Right.
they made. Independence Day, every other hour on every other channel. I just love this time of year, man. I feel uh, patriotic, and then I'm like, yes, alien movies, shows, all right, because aliens have a special place in my heart, and I'll talk about that a little later in the show. I'm going to actually, for the first time, share some personal history of mine that only very few
Yeah.
people know. I know you know what I'm talking about because you're being a close friend. You know the story. Um,
Sure do.
yeah, but tonight, for the first time ever, I'm gonna talk about it. But what does this weekend mean to you, brother? I mean, besides our independence, aliens, man. I
Well,
just
aliens. Oh my goodness. It's one of them things that always caught my eye or caught my interest my whole life. I mean, I'm not an expert on them by any means, but it's always caught my interest.
yeah.
Um, I don't think we're the only ones in the galaxy. So,
Okay. Ooh, you broke it down to
yeah.
just the galaxy, huh?
Well, yeah, keep it simple, right? But yeah. So I don't know. I love all the alien movies too this time of year. It's weird how we do that Halloween. October we watch Halloween movies with Christmas movies. But yeah, this time of year it's about and being patriotic and stuff. That 1776 show, right?
Hmm.
And oh, I just gotta say this real quick. Uncle Cletus, you rock, man.
Oh, yo, I'm so glad you said that. Uncle Cletus killed it today, man. I mean, he came over, hung out, and talked with us, and he just said he has about 6, 7 shows lined up. And Monday, when we actually released his first video, we wanted 100 views. That's it. We're simple guys. 100 views in the first 24 hours, or we told him, like the Santa Clarita Diet Netflix, we're going to cancel it. So you better you better get those views. And man, in less than 12 hours, he was like at 114 views, man. Uncle Cletus, we love you, brother.
You know what's cool about him? He works for beer. Right?
No
So
doubt.
yeah.
No doubt.
But yeah, so aliens, man. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. Have
Uh,
you seen
Go
have you
ahead.
seen any of those things that the Russians supposedly found? They were up there drilling and diving in the Arctic, and they found like an under glacier river, right?
Sure.
And they found like this. It almost looked like it's very similar to like the alien that we see in like Alien the movie.
Mhm.
Not that it's so massive, maybe in its juvenile stage, where it's like 4 feet tall kind of thing.
Right.
But the thing swam like a fish underwater, and it had like a more skeletal type tail,
Hmm.
uh, and the big elongated head. But this is just from the video that they show on this thing, right? But
Right.
it caught my interest because it was so similar to the character in the film. But
Right.
this thing like could move like ultra fast too.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like before they could respond, it was like there.
I've never I've never heard that particular story. I've heard a few other alien type stories that surround the uh, Antarctica, and you know, a couple of them have been debunked. A couple of them, you don't know, but that's what makes this so great. We all have this inner child that has alien dreams inside of them. It's always been powered by the desire for human importance. You know what I'm saying? We it's like we almost want to be seen by something else or discover another life form from another place, just so we know that something else exists, that we're not in this big solar system alone, or the galaxy, or the universe, or you know it's in our DNA. And I just love the whole alien topic, man. It's been a favorite of mine since I was a child. I've been to Roswell, I've been to Area 51, uh, you know, all around the country to different various places. But one that touches my heart the most, and I don't know if you mind, I want to get into it. This is back in your hometown, uh, or home state, California, close to your hometown. Do you remember the Battle of Los Angeles? It was also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid. And it happened in 1942, which was several years before even Roswell. And what's so fascinating about this is the pictures. And they even have, you know, the sirens going off. And it was this mad chaos because Pearl Harbor had just happened. So we were on high alert on the coast. We had a barrage of artillery just lined up, ready to blow anything that came our way. So, yeah, the Battle of Los Angeles, also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, um, this was one big deal uh, that happened, and it's documented. Pictures, video, newspaper reports. And what had happened. Have you ever seen any of that footage or any of the pictures, or even heard about this one, Nick?
The name sounds familiar,
Right. Well, what
or
it
the
was,
battle.
yeah, and a lot of people have heard of it. It occurred less than 3 months after the United States entered World War II in response to the Imperial Japanese Navy's surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Um,
Okay.
and one day after the bombardment of Elwood on February 23rd, uh, that is when the surprise attack, took place. Um, so initially, the target of the aerial barrage was thought to be an attack from Japan, since Pearl Harbor was so fresh. But obviously, uh, afterwards, and after everything calmed down, the current Secretary of the Navy at the time, um, Frank Frank Knox, he called the incident a false alarm. Newspapers at the time published a number of reports and speculations about a cover up going on. And when you look at some of these photos and some of the evidence, it looks like, I mean, they've got these spotlights on a UFO, and we're just firing everything we've got at it. And basically, they say this is the documented incident goes that, oh, the United States Coast Artillery Association identified a meteorological balloon that was sent up at 1 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
That's what started all the shooting. And, once the firing start, and they got to going at it, everyone's imagination just created more targets than there really was in the sky. And everyone along the coast there in LA just joined in, just firing everything they had. And this went on for quite a while. The story goes it was a basically lost weather balloon that went astray. And that's not what it looks like when they're firing the flares and the shell bursts and all the adjoining batteries going off. It looks like there is some type of object, and if it was a balloon, I'm sure the first little bullet would have made it start deflating and quickly descend. But this thing just stays hovered, like it's taking hit after hit.
Right.
So that was just one story I've always loved and been enamored by, is the Battle of Los Angeles, because it happened before Roswell. It happened at the height of a world war, and it kind of just, aliens, world war, we come together, was it, could it be, it's just, it has so much
Right.
mystique behind that story. So that's why it's one of my favorites. Do you have any favorites here in the U.S. as far as stories go?
Yeah, actually, there's a few. One of them was a first-hand thing I saw.
Okay.
Both were in Arizona, but do you remember that deal, the lights over Phoenix?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I lived in Phoenix at that time.
Oh, wow.
I lived at the top of a mountain preserve. There was like a few condos, like 30 condos up there. I lived in one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So it was on top of a hill that kind of overlooked, looking southeast of over Phoenix.
Right.
And at from there, the next mountain that you would see um, is the mountain range that all the TV antennas are on, etc. And
Mm-hmm.
that's also the mountain where the lights were seen.
Ah. So what did
And
you
that was
see?
a huge thing. I personally did not see the light
Mm-hmm.
in the way that everybody else saw because I was like kind of looking from my view, it was the back end,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Sure.
I saw something in the sky, but I can't say like perfect image that that's what that was. Like it was just
Okay.
real. I could see, from knowing what I saw from the behind view, and then looking at the still photographs that were taken by people of the front view. It's like it's the same. You can tell it's the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
But oddly enough, too, just south or just north. Oh, that mountain range was Baseline Mountain.
Okay.
That was the name of it. Where they had all the TV antennas and everything for all the news stations and stuff were there, broadcasting stations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so for a while thereafter, and this didn't really make national news or world news or anything, but in Cave Creek, Arizona, which, like I said, is north from the Baseline Mountain, going up towards the other north end of Phoenix, a lot of people were seeing and having UFO sightings. A lot were caught on home video, some with cell phones. I'm no expert on film footage and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, there's some you can just tell right off the bat they're fake as hell, but technology is advanced. What do I know? No expert on it, but there's a lot of them that seem completely convincing. And you can actually even find some that cover that of some of Phoenix local news doing reports on it, going out there and meeting the people, so on and so forth. And, it seems right to me,
Right.
So that was
How far away were you? If you had to guess, 10 miles, 1 mile?
no, probably like 30 to 50 miles, maybe.
Okay. So I was going to ask if you were close. Did you hear any type of
That's close enough
sound?
for me.
Well, you know, the closer you are, there might have been some type of humming or sounds going on.
Sure,
That's the only reason
sure.
I was asking.
Yeah, no. You know, when something like that happens, you almost feel like you're a deer in the headlights kind of thing. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
Almost,
Yeah.
almost paralyzed, and everything else around you is just gone. Like sound wise, you're just focused on like, what the heck, right?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that a lot of stuff happened for a while out there. Maybe it still does. I don't know. I don't live there anymore, so I don't keep up on the local news. But I know for
Hmm.
a while that was happening out there in Cave Creek, and I think they even had some stored towards the Superstition Mountains, which would be directly east of the Baseline Mountains. So,
Hmm.
um, but that's a whole Superstition Mountains. That's a whole other story in itself. Holy smokes!
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one deal that I was there for. I wasn't a witness in the depth and clarity of a lot of people, but yeah, I get what they're throwing down there. And then another time, I was actually traveling. I was going back home to visit. I was driving from Phoenix to
Hmm.
Monterey, and I was on I-10 heading west. I didn't know there was anything out there. It was nighttime, blazing down the highway, and I see these lights off to the left of me, which would be the southwest portion of Arizona, outside of Phoenix. And
Hmm.
there was like strange patterns in the way that these lights were moving. They were moving. They're all moving in a downward motion, very slow, but every once in a while they were lean one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? And they were off in the distance. I couldn't tell if they were just. At first, I was like, looks like kind of like balls of fire to me, but it was so far away too, and pitch black in the middle of the desert at night. Um,
Hmm.
I couldn't see that they were coming like from bottoms of crafts or something like that. I couldn't really judge how close or how far away they were or their size. It was so dark. But
Hmm.
that was something I saw, and then strangely enough, like the next day, the I think it was the National Guard claimed out there in the desert they were doing some kind of testing with these lights.
Just a balloon or some light testing.
Right, right. I think they tried to pass it off like they were flares on parachutes, so like they could be found, kind of signaling flares or something like that. But I've launched signaling flares, and I've done those Asian kites. You light the candle in there, and they
Oh
take
yeah.
off and they fly to Japan and all kinds of cool stuff. I did a lot of those actually. It was nothing like that, man. There was no tea light candles involved. It was something else. But I did laugh too when I read that because it was so well. It was expected.
Hmm.
Um, I'm almost surprised they didn't come up with like a better story because their response was just like repetitious. So um, it was so comedical because they didn't come up with a better story. They just ran the same line. You know what I mean? There's a
Hmm.
balloon, or we were doing testing in that area. We were
Hmm.
doing testing that. I didn't see any military personnel out there at all. No military, nothing, nothing. And if they're
Right.
doing stuff where there's fire, they're going to have some kind of military personnel around there to put that out. Anyway,
Absolutely.
whatever. What do I know? I'm just a dude. But yeah, I saw that. That was firsthand. That kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
bet. I bet.
yeah, and what's crazy? I love to be in the forest. I love to be in the woods.
Hmm.
That environment is just my ultimate place. Anyway, um, I spent a lot of time in the woods and stuff as a child and as an adult as well. But man, you get out there and you listen to nature and you hear some weird stuff. You know what I mean? Some stuff
Hmm.
doesn't, and especially at night in the middle. I don't know how deep any of y'all have ever gone camping or anything like that, or backpacking and slept in the woods without a tent or anything. I've done it a few times. It scared the hell out. I should have done it a few times. I should have stopped the first time. But you hear some things that just don't even sound like human. It's like, what the heck was that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I found that some of the times the sounds were like animals mating, or you know an animal taking down a deer, and that's the sound it makes when it's screaming. And I mean, horrible stuff. But I've heard all kinds of people's, possibilities for things, but like I said, some of the stuff doesn't sound human. I don't know if it's aliens or not, but it's something.
All right. Well, it's all ties together, man. Cryptid, alien, paranormal. It's all right
Right,
there. Yeah, it's pretty interesting,
right.
bud. That area, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, those are hotbeds, man. Hotbeds for
They are.
UFOs and alien
They are.
encounters. It brings me back to the Dulce, New Mexico shootout with Phil Schneider, another one of my favorite stories. Um, you know, where supposedly 60 servicemen and engineers and agents lost their lives, and only 3 survivors made it. And Phil Schneider was one of them. If anything, man, that horrific battle, if it took place, you know, it just had to be amazing to be Phil Schneider at that time. What's going through your mind? Your adrenaline's pumping. You just got hit with a beam and lost half your hand, and your chest is open wide. And you're being thrown onto basically a lift elevator to take you back up. And the guy that did that sacrificed his life for you. There must have just been a million things going through his mind, and he was a great patriot, whistleblower, and we recognize you this weekend. And, we can't leave out Roswell, the 1947 air balloon crash.
Right.
There's that balloon again. 43, 47, 50, 56, 70, 71. It's always balloons and lights. They're just being tested, or flares. But
Right.
we if you look at where we were at technologically speaking in 1947 to where we went just in the mid 80s to early 90s, um, yeah, we
You
we
know what's
put it
crazy?
50 years we advanced, leaps and bounds.
Exactly. We have. And it's crazy you're doing like the growth and all that over a time period in that technology or the sightings or whatever. But it made me laugh. I was listening to you talking. It made me think of something. I could picture the news, like say in the 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the guys on the news is like breaking news. It's like that. Remember that, dude? Right? And and he's wearing his bow tie and his dark rim glasses, and he says something stupid too, like, folks, in case you didn't know, there's been sightings of lights in the sky over wherever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's so funny because, like, in case you didn't know, right? And that's like, subliminally, it seems like that's like, you're going to hear rumors of, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
can't say that. It's the news. And then they blame it on, it was a cluster of falling stars.
Oh wow.
Just retarded stuff like that. But we bought it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not everybody, but a lot did. Yeah, that's what it reminded. I don't know why I thought of that while you were telling me that story, but yeah.
Hey, how about the story of Harry Reid? Says that we weren't taking
Mhm.
aliens serious enough. He's
Right.
the former Senate Majority Leader. He definitely was a truther. uh,
Yeah.
he's like, when he was up there speaking about it, and he brings up Bigelow Aerospace and Bob Bigelow, and saying that he was a central figure in all of this, and where he, was taken to Mount Charleston near Las Vegas, where they saw a flying saucer. And this was the Senate Majority Leader, and he's admitting this stuff.
Right.
If I can find a little clip of it, I'll put it up here on the TV. But I always found that pretty odd and wild. It just, it further proves that it's either going on or they're hiding it from us, and they're hiding it from us, or they're really going out of their way to make us believe that they are covering up stuff. You know.
Well, and I think I think there's like a split vote, or not a split vote, but a split majority of just citizens that believe and versus don't believe. You know, it's probably 50-50, right?
Hmm.
Regardless of the reason for falling to that side, I just think that that's where the numbers are at. We'll have to go that deep into it. So I think with half the population actually believing in aliens in some way, shape, or form, some connection
Hmm.
with us, um, you know, there seems to be, and with our technology, cell phones, there seems to be a lot more stuff coming out, a lot more stories that actually, it's not just something you read about or something or hear about on the news. It's
Hmm.
actually somebody got their story and it's documented. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of encounters. There's a lot of things. You know. It reminds me. Do you remember that movie that took place in Alaska? It was like, and it's supposed to be based on true events. You know, and it was a great movie. Um,
Oh, the fourth
oh, The
kind.
Fourth Kind. Hi, yeah. We both remembered at the same time. Yeah, The Fourth Kind. That was in Nome, Alaska. And one of
Yeah.
the crazy things is that place has been visited by like the FBI and CIA and all that more times than any place on the globe.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
That those abductions, uh, or slash possessions, in some cases, um, yeah, that's all well documented. That lady was a psychologist, so I don't think that she would just be making up crap. And there's all kinds of paper evidence. There's a paper trail. And like you said, the FBI has investigated stuff there more than any other city in the US. So, could it be? Possibly. And then, at the end of that movie, I remember them playing the actual audio they
oh, the
had.
sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the dude is speaking in like ancient Sumerian.
right,
And then you hear the lady crying and arguing, and the alien that's speaking to her is speaking in ancient Sumerian. It's my child now or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I forget exactly
right.
how I went, but that's pretty wild. I mean, yeah, that movie definitely got you thinking. Um,
That movie was kind of spooky too. Like it,
yeah,
like it made me jump a couple times. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, that was a good flick. But man, you know, you go on YouTube or something right now and find all kinds of little documentaries about that place, you know, from dating back before the movie even.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's a lot of information on that place. It's a trip, man. Holy smokes, what a trip that place is. And somehow, what was the deal with the white owl? Like every time the white owls would be around there, that's where the aliens were going to appear next or something like that.
Right. Yeah, the alien, the owl with the big eyes. They said that
Right.
yeah, that he was said it was like an owl shape that he was seeing, but it was actually like the big-eyed aliens.
Yeah. But I remember there's something, somehow there's specifically the white owl in like people's reports.
Hmm.
That's yeah. You know, it's a trip too. Is I don't know if there's an association with the whole owl thing. Well, I guess that's what I'm getting at. The association, maybe, or the possibility thereof, is I've talked to a couple of really old Native Americans in Oklahoma, and they were telling me like with their tribe that they believe that the owl is like a bad omen or something. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
And this guy that was telling me first guy that ever told me anything about, he was telling me like you can't like he ran one over with a car and it still was like getting up, and he said you gotta shoot him and burn him. So if he sees owls on his property and he shoots them and they don't leave, he felt like the one that he had to burn. He felt like somebody put a curse on him, and the owl
Hmm. Hmm.
is supposed to come to redeem that curse, whatever it might be. And he said he had to shoot it and burn it. to get it to die. Like it was really hard to kill it. I'm not trying to
Wow.
be gross or graphic or anything like that, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. And I wonder if that owl thing is connected somehow.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I'm not going to say it's
Right?
not. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. That's another.
I mean, he never said that it was an alien, but he just said, it was really bad. It was really bad juju to have that around.
Right.
They're evil, he said.
Um, Staying on topic, switching gears a little. I
Sure.
want to talk about some public incidences that are really
Okay.
popular. That are a little less government involved to cover it up. Remember the Barney and Betty Hill abduction from 1961? They were in 61. They were
I don't remember them.
they were an interracial family. He was African American, she was white, and in the early '60s, you know that was you didn't see that happening a lot,
Right.
and I guess maybe that's what made some people want to not believe. Unfortunately, thinking that they were out publicity hunting, but they're one of the more well documented abductions in history. Um, he actually drew everything that he remembered, and um, you know, they they say that they were on a New Hampshire road when the car had been magnetized, and they did regressive
Wow.
hypnosis on both of them, and they were able to recall being abducted and probed by little gray men, which soon became the de facto alien description. Excuse me, for years to come. Um, Another really interesting story was the one of Antonio Villas Boas. You remember that? The old sexual seduction? In 1957, supposedly a group of small aliens with huge heads abducted Villas Boas he was a young Brazilian farmer, and he was forced inside their vessel. And he said the creatures took blood samples from his chin and rubbed some sort of gel over it that actually instantly healed it. Then later on, they bring in a blonde female hybrid looking type, almond shaped eyes woman that initiated sex with them, beginning with an intimate massage. And this was in 1957. And the funny thing about it is he often felt exploited, like he was like he was the good stallion, because he said that in his mind he was abducted and used for these sexual encounters because he was helping to make their stock better.
Wow.
Yeah. So
What was that? What was that movie? Remember, it came out like I don't know, 70s or 80s, something like that, about that dude in the woods that was abducted by aliens.
absolutely, I actually got to meet his son out in uh, Nevada in 2017, and
Oh, no kidding.
yeah, no doubt. His son was there, and he was. I think even the guy himself showed up eventually to sign books. But
What was that movie called? Was it The Arrival or?
no, you're talking about the one where it was the four buddies. They went out camping. He went back up to the truck, and then he went missing for days,
Yes.
and then he showed back up. Yeah, I forget the exact name. I will plug that in up above me here on the big show screen later on. Yeah, so what I wanted to bring this up. It was funny when I got done talking about Villas Boas seduction. You were just like, wow. And then when you said that, it reminded me of the 1977 wow signal. I think that was Ohio State's Big Ear telescope intercepted a 72-second burst of sound that bore signs of having come from interstellar space. Remember that one?
Okay. Vaguely, but yeah.
And then we had the Foo Fighters from World War II. Remember? All the planes on their overnight missions were reporting seeing lights chasing the aircraft. They
Yes.
were deemed
Yes.
Foo Fighters.
Okay.
And these little balls of light could move up to 200 miles per hour and just turn and then dart on a dime.
Oh dang.
So yeah, that was during World War II. Foo Fighters, aliens.
That was
Folks,
that's
I hope you're following us for the night. We have no pattern, no rhyme or reason. It's the 4th of July Independence weekend, and we just wanted to, you know, talk about aliens and movies and times in history here in the U.S. and around the world, and just have fun. So hopefully you're with us, and we're not boring you to death. But it's kind of a freestyle big show tonight.
right.
Um, oh yeah, and you've already talked about the Phoenix Lights; those were huge, 1997, and you were
Yeah.
one of thousands of people that saw that. I just want you to know that wasn't just a few people; that was thousands of people, and actually, people as far as 300 miles away actually saw the lights. So yeah, that was wild. Did you ever see that image or the video? There's a great channel, um, Secure Team, and
No.
where he took a Google image of the Antarctica by some caves there in the snow, and he blows it up and he goes down, and he points out what looks like a part of an alien ship poking out from the
Oh,
cave.
yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
Yes. And wasn't that around the time that they found a couple pyramids up there too?
Yeah, supposedly, and then that was supposedly debunked as just part of the mountain range. I don't know, but they sure look like pyramids to me. I don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah, I
And
want to.
I saw a few stories. I don't know how true it is, but it was like almost like a cave, but it was an entrance
Yeah,
to
and it was
their
Tyler of
civilization.
Secure Team 10. I want to give him credit on that, and I'll probably throw a picture of that up in the TV too, so the folks can take a look at that. But
All right, just
that's a great channel too. I'm not just trying to plug him to plug him. He puts a lot
no,
of he
no,
just put a lot
absolutely.
he's
They
put a
do
lot of
good
work
work.
into it. Yeah. Um, but yeah, man. So, anyways, anything else you want to touch on, brother?
Um, Not particularly. I mean,
All right. Well, I just wanted to see if there's anything you want to talk because um, it's about that time
right.
for
It is.
what the facts.
Oh yeah.
So, folks, sit back, relax, and here's our Independence Weekend What the Facts special. It's that time again, folks, for What the Facts. Brought to you by Ray's Barbecue. I got 99 problems, but barbecue ain't one. Often thought a conspiracy, our government has been researching unidentified flying objects for years. I'm talking about all the way back to 1911. Okay? Now, I'm not sure if many of you know, but in 1911, the cavalry was chasing bandits. These bandits supposedly tried to hold up inside of a cave in a ravine. It was later revealed that this cave actually had alien technology in it, UFO pieces, particles, parts of ship, materials, and things to that nature. So it's been in our history for a while. The government will always try to deny it. But fast forward to Project Blue Book. Now it is out. It's not just a conspiracy or crazy to mention that Project Blue Book existed. Project Blue Book was one of a series of systematic studies of unidentified flying objects conducted by the United States Air Force starting in 1952. Now, the only other two recorded U.S. Air Force projects prior to this were Project Sign and Project Grudge, 1947 and 1949. Okay. Project Blue Book had two goals. One, to determine if a UFO was a threat to national security. Two, scientifically analyze all UFO-related data. Almost 13,000 separate UFO reports were studied, collected, and analyzed and put in file during Project Blue Book. Anything that was unidentified fell into that category. Not one piece was ever said to actually be of an outside alien source or technology. Unfortunately, Project Blue Book was terminated in December of 1969. And if you fast forward just a little bit further now, we have hundreds of whistleblowers, some more credible than others. Phil Schneider with the Dulce alien shootout. Bob Lazar, Area 51 scientist. And the list goes on and on and on, all the way up until where our current president, Donald Trump, is making a fifth arm of the military called the Space Force. Now, they say this is to further exploration in space, but why would they make it a part of the fifth military branch if it wasn't for something else, to protect us or to get us set up? Obviously, they have a feeling that there's something that's been here, is coming here, or might be on its way here. With that said, folks, you got to go find your own truths. They're out there. You got to find them. So in this case, does the government or did the government ever study UFO phenomena? The answer would be yes, and they still do to this day. Conspiracy proven.
If you don't know, now you know.
And we're back. I hope you guys enjoyed that, folks.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Always feeding the heads, always feeding our heads. So I always say, feed that dome, absorb and research, find your truths, and it'll make you a happy man. Now,
I'm gonna tell you this, man. I want to add to that real quick.
right,
Education is free, man.
that's
Learning is
right.
free.
You're right. And you can retrain your brain from all the junk that we were fed as a youth. Just takes time. It's like anything, you gotta retrain yourself into believing the truth and not all the made up, indoctrinated boo-boo.
Right.
But before we go tonight, I wanted to share with everybody a little personal look into my life.
Oh yeah.
Now, I don't know if it started on my grandfather had a 500-acre spread in Virginia, in Mineral, Virginia. And we used to go out there every summer. We always spend the summers there. We'd bale hay, fill the barn, bale hay, feed the animals, fish in the pond. We'd dam the creek up and swing from the tree into that. We'd ride three-wheelers. We'd throw hard on the outside, but soft in the middle cow pies at our younger cousins. We used to have cow pie wars. We just had so much fun out there. Well, it was one summer out there that I experienced my first night terror. And I would have no recollection of being abducted. I do remember bright lights. I remember not being able to move. My eyes were open. I was laying on the couch or the floor or the bed, wherever I would be at the time. And it would happen maybe once every couple weeks when I visited every summer. So let's say maybe 4 times a summer, this would happen. I couldn't scream. I couldn't talk. And there was something in there. I could almost describe it as alien grays. But I just remember them standing over me, bright lights. I'm still where I was at when my eyes opened, almost like waking up inside of a dream and you can't wake up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So these went on, these went on for years. Now, when I reflect back, I remember getting up one morning and riding with my grandfather in his truck. We went out way out in the field, past the barn, and they used to have a little Civil War cemetery on the property as well. That's how old this land was. That's actually, that's to tell you real quick. I was set up there to do catch a snipe. Anybody ever been snipe hunting? Yeah. Well, they put me out there about midnight inside the iron rock gates of this little, maybe 12 headstones, and it had a big tree in there. But they said they're going to scare all the snipe, and this is where they're going to run to. And it'll be like a cage, and I could catch them. Well, I sat out there for about 5 or 6 hours before they finally come and got me. It's probably, close to 5 a.m. The light's coming up. And here comes my cousins and everybody laughing. There's no such thing as snipe. Boy, I was so depressed. But anyways, we drove out past that. We drove out past that. And my grandfather says, I'm going to show you something. I got the sheriff coming out. And he takes me up to, he had always had cattle, herds of cattle out there. And we used to feed them, and we'd throw them out salt blocks and fill the water. It was the whole 500-acre farm experience, brother. But this cow was dead. And it had seared right through the middle of it, like as if somebody come in with a scalding hot laser and just cut out a circular part that went from the left side to the right side of its stomach, and you could see straight through it, and everything was cauterized.
Wow.
Now, the sheriff got out there, and I remember listening to him and my grandfather, and I was younger at the time, but I remember the sheriff just saying, it was probably a lightning bolt. Well, my grandfather said, I'm no scientist, like I always say, but if it got hit with lightning, wouldn't like maybe its hoofs be kind of exploded, or maybe the eyes popped out? It wouldn't just, lightning wouldn't strike you and put a hole straight through you and cauterize you.
Right.
I remember them arguing back and forth about it. So the report was filled out that the cow died from being struck by lightning. And what also was odd about that was when we went to move the cow, and he got the tractor out there and they loaded it up, parts of its left upper lip, nose, eye, ear, there was pieces missing. And just like the typical surgical cuts you would see on any cow mutilation is exactly what it looked like. So
that's weird.
Yeah, that always stuck with me. But I never gave it 2 thoughts. I never thought aliens. I never, all I remember is I went out in the truck with Granddad and we saw a cow that got hit by lightning. That's how I chalked the story up. Till I got older and I reflect back on it. Then I reflect back on the 3 to 4 night terrors that I would receive out there. every time I went. And what's ironic about this story, folks, is that from that point on, the rest of my life, all the way up until about 2007, I would experience night terrors, and they weren't very regular, maybe once or twice a year. But I would open the same thing every time. I'd open my eyes, there'd be a bright light in my face, shining, but the room was still dark, if that makes sense. But everything was very vivid and bright. And it was these same 4 little gray guys. Now, why I say this stayed with me up until 2007 was because I really started researching it then. I found people, now at the time, an alien abduction or that story, if you told someone, because I kept it to myself, I wouldn't tell people because they would have thought I was crazy. And I didn't want that label, right. Even though now everyone calls me crazy, but hey, I deal with it. Right. If looking for truth makes me crazy, then I'm crazy as they come. But the more and more I researched it, I would find common stories like mine, and that people would use prayer or the word God or the word Jesus, and it would instantly remove them from their night terror. And I'm thinking to myself, man, come on, really? What do aliens have to do with anything like that? You know, and that's what I'm thinking in my head. Right. So sure enough, in 2007, another one happened. And I went in my head because I couldn't speak. It was like I was frozen. Like my tongue was, I just couldn't move my mouth, you know, and like your eyes are open, you can't close them. You can't talk. I just remember in my head saying it, shouting it, what I had read about. And all of a sudden I could move. All of a sudden there was no light in the room. It was dark. All of a sudden these creatures weren't there. So that was my experience with it.
That's great. That's so wow.
Yeah, I know. And I know it's pretty intriguing every time I tell it. You've heard it a few times, but I've never shared that with anyone but my inner circle. And people that I knew wouldn't look at me like, you weirdo. But you go do your own researches and your own studies on that. There's some great guys out there you can check out. Guy Malone, even L.A. Marzulli is dabbling with talking to abductees right now for his research. Guy Malone's actually made a few documentaries, and he's even written a book, which I've actually got one of his books. I think it's called Come Sail Away With Me. And I even got it signed. I got to meet him as well in Nevada. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with my my fans in the world. I'm coming out.
What?
Of my alien closet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to release anything else tonight, just my aliens. But yeah, folks, true story. That's what happened. I lived with them for years, and I haven't had one since. Going on 12 years now. And
wow.
You be the judge. So, folks, hopefully we didn't bore you tonight. We talked a few interesting things. You learned something new about Big Rich. Nikki B, I enjoyed your stories and your real life encounters. And I know you're a big movie buff, and our heads go 90 miles an hour, 10 different directions. So sometimes it takes us a minute to remember, certain names, titles, dates, and we don't always get it right. And I try and make corrections on the screen when I find stuff on post edit for the YouTube upload. But guys, Nikki B, thank you as always for joining me, my friend.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And with that said, God bless, be good, and stay safe. And don't blow your fingers off with them fireworks.